Welcome back to another Facebook Live edition. My name is Yocheved. For anyone who has not heard me speak before, welcome to my platform. Interesting story. Right before I have to go live, as I'm hooking up my phone, my tripod breaks. I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I even going to do this live? I don't have a tripod. So I hope that you're able to see me properly. I'm just using this handheld device. It's here for the rescue, so I apologize if the visuals are kind of off. We're going to work with the tools that we have. And again, back to our topic, how negative thoughts can really affect our thinking. Every possible thought can come into your mind and say, maybe, just maybe, you're not supposed to go live tonight. Maybe the story you want to share is really not a story you should be sharing. But just like we're going to be discussing on tonight's live, we need to really reprogram, retrain our thinking processes. When those negative thoughts come into play and they try to bring us down and they try to make us think that we're not capable, it's not going to work out, things are not going to go as planned, we're not going to find a job, we're not going to have a child, we're not going to be able to cure this disease, we stop. We redirect ourselves, we program ourselves completely differently because we start to believe in the voices that come into our minds. We become what our voices are telling us. So tonight, I am going to share with you a personal story. I probably shared it with you in some of my events that I do live. Not on social media. I haven't given these details, but for those of you that have been to my live events, I have shared this story with some of you, so you may be familiar. But most of you do not know my story. Until today, the story took place about 14 years ago. And until today, I still have a hard time sharing this story. But the reason I decided to share it today is because I got a call recently from a teenager whose mother asked me to talk to her about the career path she wants to take. She said, my daughter's not really sure what she wants to do, which way she wants to go in life, and she's very confused. Do you have a few minutes to talk to her, to try to persuade her into one direction or the next? It's in the medical field. I know you're a physician assistant. Can you speak to my daughter? And after I spoke to this teenager, this story came back and it played a lot of memories, some of which I don't want to replay. But I realized that many of my viewers have children, teenagers, young adults. Maybe this will be very beneficial. Not maybe, I think this will be very beneficial for your children in colleges, or even those of you who are thinking of your career choices, those of you who are going through health challenges, marital challenges, whatever struggle you're going through, the importance of really stopping, reprogramming your thought processes. And when things really look dark and like hopeless, dreary, stopping and telling yourself, I will not succumb to these thoughts. I am above this. Things will get better. Sometimes there are going to be rocky roads, and those rocky roads are also normal. We're not always meant to go through the smooth lines. Life is up and down and up and down. So tag your friends, your teenagers, your close ones, especially those who are in college, going for a career. And here I am, first time after many years, taking the courage to share my story a little bit more in depth with all of you who are watching. As you know, I have shared this multiple times before, and I'm not embarrassed to share this. I am a high school dropout. I never graduated high school. My highest level of education in high school was 11th grade. and I ended up getting married very early. And after I got dropped out of high school and I got married, I quickly had my children. And I first had my first child, who was a boy, and then I gave birth to my second child shortly after. And I always had a passion to go into medical field. And it was my passion to go into the medical field mostly because I had a niece who passed away at the age of 3. She died very, very suddenly, very unexpectedly. And a part of me was very hurt at how the medical system was running. Not that we could really blame anybody, because things happen. When someone is meant to go, yes, we find comfort in finding a blame and pointing fingers. But at the end of the day, there is no blame. It's what God wants. And when the time comes, time comes. But for me, I felt this sincere passion in wanting to go into the medical field because I kind of told myself, I want to be in healthcare because I want to make sure that the pain that my sister had to go through in losing a child, nobody ever has to go through that pain again. So for me, going into the medical field was more than just going there for a paycheck. It was going into the health field because I wanted to really, truly make a difference in helping people and their lives and making sure I take that extra step. And I look at the blood test and I look at the results and I make the time and look at the blood pressure. So that's just a little bit of a background as to how much I really badly wanted a position in the healthcare field. As I was taking my prerequisites for school, I was going to all my credits. It wasn't easy. There were many days I couldn't cook. I couldn't do my laundry. I couldn't clean my house. And that's part of the struggle. We had my mom, my mother-in-law, my husband, people, pitch in and help out. And I was kind of thinking to myself, will I really get into the program? What are my chances? Because everybody made it look so difficult. It's almost like you have to have a great GPA and you have to have an excellent interview and they're going to grill you. And it makes it very difficult to really believe that you can even get into this program, the physician assistant program in my case. And my thoughts were, I'm going to get in, but who knows when? And I got pregnant with my daughter, and right by my delivery date, I realized I'm going into this program, which is starting in 2 months. And I thought to myself, I'm going to be going into the physician assistant program. My daughter's supposed to be born, which means I'm going to have a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old, and I'm going into a very difficult program, a program where I'm going to be in school from 8 in the morning to 8 at night, 6 days a week. Fridays will be a little shorter, but school is going to be intense. Hello, Yelena, welcome. But our mind gives us things to worry about. It tries to scare us. It tries to dissuade us. But that's our job, to try to tell us we have to fight it and say, I can do this. And just like always, and everything I take upon myself, I kept telling my brain, I can do this. I will go through this. Whatever the challenges are, come my way. I got this. And I did. First year of PA school. If anybody is a PA, if anybody has children in PA school, it's like taking a crash course and being a doctor. You have this medical schooling all crammed into 1 year, in my case. Now it's a master's program, back when I was going for my bachelor's. And we're in school and tests are hard, and you have tests morning, afternoon, midterms, and they made it even harder because you have to have a certain GPA. If your grade is below a certain level, you would get kicked out. If you have certain level of absence, you're going to get kicked out. It was like being in the army. It prepares you for army style. Here I am with 2 small children, finishing up finally after very, very hard few months of schooling, 9, 10, 11 months of PA school. I am finally able to almost graduate. It's finally time to take our final exam. Very difficult week. We're going to be having tests every single day. There's going to be a test on pharmacology, which is all the medicines, tests on psychology, tests on heart, lungs, everything you can think of all in 1 week. And sometimes what happens to us? We panic. Panic takes over. What do? So a group of friends decided to find a test from an older year, from a few years ago. Let us take a test. Let's see if anybody has a copy. And let's see what the test is going to look like. So somebody from our group decided to go and find the test from the previous years. Now, my personality was such that even if somebody shows me a test, I don't trust it. I am a believer. I have to study. I have to study hard. I came a long way, but what if the test has changed? I can't trust the test that's being given to me. This is too much at stake. I can get kicked out of the program if I fail. So even though we were going to have access to a test from the previous years, I told myself, like I always do, my standards are very high. I will not base this particular test on an older test. The test gets emailed to me and a few other people who were all friends at that time. I look at the test. I don't open my email. I go the day before the test and I study like I study always. Hard, determined, ready to pass this test tomorrow. I come to the day of the exam. And what do I see? Lo and behold, the test was different. I was so glad that I studied. I was so glad that I didn't take a chance and open the email. I was glad that I didn't rely on it because that would be considered cheating. But besides that, it was not in my nature. I take the test. I pass the exams. First year of PA school is done. Of course, what happens? You celebrate. You go out with your family and you celebrate your goal. And that's exactly what I did. I took my 2 little children who were back then 2 years old and they're 2 years apart. So my son was already 3 and my daughter was already 1 at that time. I get them to the restaurant. My mother-in-law, my mother, my parents, my husband, we are so thrilled to celebrate this achievement. I come home, life is good. I'm about to enter the second year of PA school. It's a week break. We got a week off to enter the second year of PA school. But it didn't end the way I thought it was going to end. My dreams of becoming a PA were shortly smashed. I get an email, a letter, mailed to me. I open the letter, and the letter tells me that I am no longer welcome into the PA program. I am officially kicked out, and I have to meet the dean tomorrow for a very extensive discussion. I didn't really know, what do you make of such a letter? Where is this letter even coming from? Who can I talk to? And I realized shortly after, it wasn't just me that got this letter. A few of my friends got the same letter. But what do you make of this? What is that even supposed to mean? I dedicate my entire year. Not only did I dedicate the entire year to my PA school, while I was in my PA school, taking my exams, my daughter ends up going into the ICU. She was 9 months old when she went into the ICU. But the PA school was very difficult. There were no days off allowed. I couldn't even visit my child in the NICU. I was that dedicated and devoted in finishing my career that I couldn't even make it to the hospital to be by my daughter. And now, to get a letter that I'm kicked out was a slap in the face. The next day, I go to my dean, just as the letter states. I'm not sure 100% what exactly is happening. Why am I being called to the dean's office? And why am I kicked out of the program? Shortly to find out that I was accused of cheating. They have proof that we tried to cheat on the exam, and cheating is a big no-no. When you cheat, there are no second chances. And I told them, and I pleaded with them, and I said, but I didn't cheat. But I studied, and the test was changed. And you saw my grade was excellent. Why am I still being accused of cheating? And how do you know this? What can you do to prove it? They said to me the following, which was even more shocking. Apparently, one of our classmates who was sitting in class one day tells my friend her phone is not working. She needs to call her mother. Can she borrow my friend's phone? Of course, my friend said, sure. I don't know whether she called her mother or not, but she decides to go through my friend's phone. She sees her email open on the phone, pulls down the email and starts scrolling through the emails. And what does she find as the heading of one of the emails? She found psychology test. She opens the email and forwards it to herself, looks at all the people who got this exam, and sends it to our dean. So the proof was right there. There was no way for me to escape this. The question was, how am I going to go back in? What am I going to do to prove myself that I was innocent, that I didn't cheat, that I'm not guilty? How am I going to come back? And there was one thing that the dean told me at that time that stuck with me forever. When I told him, I'm not guilty, I never cheated, he said to me the following statement. He said, imagine you're going to a bank robbery and there are people with you in the car, but you're not the actual robber. But you're being told to sit and wait in the car until the robber does his robbery. And if the police comes, call him quickly so he quickly comes back in the car. Are you guilty or are you innocent? Does that make you an innocent person because you were not the robber, but you helped the robbery? When he put it into that perspective for me, it all made sense. I finally thought to myself, they're right. I am 100% at fault. But what do I do now? What am I going to do now to come back, to get my dream come true, to make sure that every day that I was away from my children, that I was away from my daughter while she was in that ICU, that didn't go in vain? I don't want to waste it. I don't want that time to just go for nothing. How do I come back? I could tell you, it wasn't an easy road. 6 months of very long, hard wait time. While my class was going forward into their second year, going into internship, I had to stay back. And what was even harder was the humility, the shame, the embarrassment I had to go through. When people would say to me, why are you not in school? Aren't you supposed to be in school? I had to say, I took time off. I want to relax. I want to spend time with my children. I'm really exhausted. I couldn't tell them why I was really off. It was embarrassing. And you may ask me, so what did you do not to give up? What did you do to persevere, to go till the end? And that's the message that I'm here with today. It's not the message of what my story is about. My story passed. It's the message of what do I want to give over from that story? Because there were many times during those 6 months that negative thoughts entered my mind. The thoughts of, you're a high school dropout. You really thought you were going to become a PA? Look at you. Who do you think you are? So many people couldn't do it, and you think you can do it? So many negative thoughts came my way. What kept me going? The vision, the belief, the understanding that you know who really is in control? Not the dean in the college. Not this lady who decided to sell us out. No, they're not in control. Who's really in control? God is in control. And for God, there is nothing that's not possible. There is nothing that he cannot do to change the situation we are in right now. And yes, Yelena, you're absolutely right. It took a lot of self-work. Every single day that I woke up, and it was another day that I had to travel to my college, which was many, many miles away. Every day they brought me. Every day they tried to question me. Who gave you the exam? Who gave you the exam? All they wanted was for me to tell them who gave me the exam. And I refused. I refused to sell out my friend. And they told me, if you tell us the name of the person who found this test first, you will come back. And I said, I cannot do that to my friend. I refused. But in the process, I had to go through grills every single day, questioning upon questioning upon questioning. But yet, I will tell you, whether you're going through a medical challenge, because there's a story for that too. You're going through a challenge of infertility. You're going through the challenge of not being able to find your soulmate. You're going through a challenge of financial difficulty. You're going through a challenge of shalom bayit. You're going through a challenge of depression, anxiety, worry, whatever your challenge is. It will bring you down mentally. It will make you feel so low. It will almost make you feel like there is no light at the end of this dark tunnel. And you know who can get you out? You. Yourself. How? But how? Believing in the one above. Believing that it can happen. There is nothing impossible. Despite all odds, it may seem completely like there's no way this is going to happen. Statistically, there's no way things can get better. Things can get better. And when you're going through that hardship, remember something. One day, you too are going to have a story to share. It's going to be a story of courage, bravery, determination. The story of you telling yourself, when my mind tried to bring me down, tried to discourage me, tried to make me feel that I'm not good enough, I'm not capable enough, I'm not strong enough, maybe I'm not loved enough, whatever situation you're going through, I will go against that. And I will, in fact, turn it to the opposite. I can do this. I am capable of this. I am going to get better. I am going to prove them wrong. Why? Because I have God with me. And that Siddur, that prayer book, becomes your best tool. Because when nobody else is watching you, you get yourself a real Siddur, a real prayer book, whatever language you pray in, and you learn to have a conversation with the one above. It's not just a prayer. It's a solid conversation where you're really crying and pouring your heart out to the one above, and you're talking to him like he is in this room listening to you. He's hearing you. And he understands that there is no one but him that can help you at this moment. My story, as you may want to know, how did it end? One day, after 6 long months of waiting, and I gave charity, and I prayed the Igeret Haramban, and I did all the segulot that we could possibly do, I came back into school to be told that I'm finally going back into the program. I'm not going to be graduating with my class. I'm going to start the second year. They had all my rotations, and I was able to graduate successfully. This story took place 14 years ago. It's still very hard for me to talk about it because it seems like it was yesterday. And the reason I come out here today to share this story is because I want to tell you who are watching. If you have children who are going through something and it's so difficult and they find every possible reason to give up, never give up. Never think someone else has it. I don't have what it takes. Because it's not you talking. It's your negative thoughts talking. It's your mind telling you you don't have what it takes. You're not capable enough. No, you don't have the support system somebody else has. No, you don't have the grades somebody else has. No, you don't have the upbringing somebody else has. But you don't have a rich father like somebody else has. Your brain is going to give you 101 reasons as to why you're not good enough, qualified enough, or capable enough. I share my story with you because I was somebody who had no chance of graduating multiple times. In fact, when I was applying for the PA program, I remember very clearly one question during my interview, and it went as follows. I had the staff sitting in front of me. I'm telling you, it's like you're in the army, 3 people, and they're asking you and grilling you with questions before you're even accepted to the program. After this whole interview section, you still have to wait for the letter to see whether your interview went well or not. It's before you even go into this program. So there was this one question, and the question went as follows, just to prove how hard it was to get in. She says as follows, "We see here that you're a high school dropout. Well, if you dropped out of high school, what makes us think you're going to make it through PA school? How do we know we're not going to have you drop out of PA school? You dropped out of high school and PA school is even harder. Why should you be accepted into our program?" Wow. Brilliant question. Brilliant. It's a real legitimate question. Well, why should they accept me into the program? I am a high school dropout. So that's a challenge too, which most of you who are in colleges, who are applying for something, you don't have this type of a challenge. Most of you don't have the same situation, and most of you do have high school degrees, so you have nothing to worry about. So for every situation, there is a solution. The problem is we don't believe that there is a solution. We allow the negative thoughts drown us into thinking there is no solution. Don't believe in the negativity that comes in to your mind. It tells you you're not capable. Tell it, I am capable. It tells you you're not good enough. Tell it, I'm even better than you think. It tells you your marriage is never going to work out. Prove it wrong. Of course it will work out. Believe it. Manifest it. Visualize it. Pray for it, and it will work out. Now, the other thing I want to talk about quickly is I've been getting a lot of requests and calls from people asking me for their time, for my time rather, questions. And a lot of times, I'll be very honest, it's very difficult for me to make time individually, besides everything else that I do with my career, family, hosting, speaking engagements. So I am thinking of creating possibly a workshop. Again, this is just thinking, thoughts for a group of people, very limited, maybe up to 10 people, to discuss this type of motivational, positive thinking. It could be for teenagers, it could be for adults, it could be for really anybody, on how to really try to get stronger in our negative emotions and negative thoughts. We can do it even one-to-one if that's a request. If there is an interest, and again, this is only because of how many calls I get and it becomes overwhelming to answer, to make time. If there is an interest for that, I can create a small group, which is going to be not on Facebook. There's going to be no recordings allowed. It's just going to be an intimate, small group of people who are going to be in those classes. If there is an interest to have those type of classes, like a small seminar, so that we can constantly have more and more reminders on positive thinking, on the belief of yourself, on overcoming challenges and obstacles, please respond with your comments. And if I see that there is a great demand, interest, or message me privately if you would like to do this one-on-one instead, then I will create something for that. Okay. So if there is a great need, thank you, Martha. Thank you, Albina. If there is a great need for that, again, I will work on creating something like that. And again, it will be exclusive to only the people who will be joining, like a small seminar, not going live. This will be separate so that we can have one-on-one discussions, situations, because when you're doing a Facebook Live, there is no real way to interact without the whole world seeing your comments, right? When you comment, everybody sees it, and some people cannot talk about personal challenges or dilemmas and groups. So I think if we make it a smaller session, I think it's better not to do it via Zoom. I think in person is better. I would be up to thinking about something like that. So that would be something to discuss. I have credentials and experience. Martha, in what? Tell me more. Credentials and experience in what? Just because I don't understand what you mean, if you can just tell me, that would definitely help. And again, if you found this video story that I shared to be helpful, I definitely would love to hear your comments and feedback. That would definitely mean a lot to me. And if you find this to be helpful for somebody else that you know, definitely share this video with them. If you have any other topic ideas that you would like for me to discuss, definitely send it my way. And if there's any way that I can, discuss it, I will. I want to say a big shout out tonight to Yelena. Yelena, you are so awesome. God should bless you. You should know that before I went live today, like I said, my story, for me personally, it's very difficult to share. I had a very hard time sharing it because, so it's embarrassing sometimes, right? We all come to those moments in our life where we get a little bit of a slap in the face and things don't necessarily go our way. And I did speak to Yelena. Amazing. I love you, Yelena. You're awesome. And I said, I really want to share my story. Do you think I should? She heard it and said, of course you should. Definitely go for it. It will really help so many people who are dealing with negativity and, self-doubt. And I appreciate that very much. Thank you so much, Yelena. As always, you're such an asset to our community, always willing to help out. Martha, you have experience in human rights consultancy. Let me see. Credentials, experience. Hold on. You said something else. You would be a part of that group. Very good. Let me just summarize again. If you have an interest in, if I would create a small private group, okay, this will be only for those who join. It will be basically like a 6-week program, let's say, in how to motivate yourself in creating the goal that you want. If you want something like that, then you have to message me. We're going to create it. I need to see how many people would be interested. If I have a lot of people who are interested to join, I'm going to create it. I do coaching as well. So if you feel like you would like for me to do a one-on-one session instead, also reach out and I will see if I have any availability. I will definitely love to help you as well. And again, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because today's live was motivational for me to speak about because of that young girl that I spoke to. The mother asked for me to speak to her and help her. And I decided, you know what? There are many young teenagers, young adults who are going to school, who feel so negative sometimes. They want to quit. They drop out. They don't think they got what it takes. And I'm here to tell you, I was in the same shoes and I've had my challenges too, as we all have. And maybe my story can inspire you. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks again for all of you who are joining and sharing and commenting in advance. Until next time, have a good night.